Be sure to head over to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. It's a good deal and helps support the show. What is up, Planeswalkers? Theoric 6, back with some more C19 spoilers. This will be the last of the preview video where I discuss the new cards that are coming out. And then tomorrow's bonus update video about C19 will be my thoughts on the cards that I think were really awesome that were reprinted, cards that I think deserve to be reprinted but weren't, and then cards that were reprinted and I'm like, what? So, without further ado, let's hop into it. Bloodthirsty Blade, 2-mana artifact, equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and is goaded. It attacks use combat if able and attacks a player other than you if able. Goad is a really interesting mechanic, and I'm glad that they're continuing to use it in these multiplayer formats. I think it's just a really fun mechanic that looks to be kind of deciduous, at least, in multiplayer. Now, this doesn't have an equip cost. Pay 1, attach Bloodthirsty Blade to target creature and opponent controls. Activate this ability only anytime you can cast a sorcery. So I'm glad that they did give it this template, because otherwise you can do some dastardly things where it's on one of your opponent's creatures. They are literally forced to attack if they're able to. They attack into someone, and then you instant speed equip it to the blocking creature and just kind of destroy your opponent for no reason. But this is very interesting because it's an artifact that you never get use out of. And the reason for that is, unless you have something that gives equip costs other things, so I believe Pure Seal Paladin modifies things. Equipment you control have equip 0, as long as you control 3 or more. Anyway, so that would put an additional ability onto this card that would then allow you to put it on your own creature. And of course, it being goated doesn't really matter that much. But is this worth playing in multiplayer in general? And is this worth playing in artifact-centric, or yeah, an equipment-centric deck, right? And I think the answer to that is it depends on how political your group is. It depends on exactly what your deck wants to do. So, for example, if you very usually play with groups of 4 or 5, then I think this card gets better. In a general equipment deck, you're still going to get the same benefits out of it. When you cast it, you're going to get to these extra bonuses for being able to do stuff. You can, in a deck like that, there are several ways to just equip things onto your own creature. So in like a Voltron deck, no, but in a general equipment deck that just looks to have a smattering of really good equipment, and then just equip them to the creatures you happen to have that like equipment, I think that it's better, more justifiable in that spot. I should mention that I think for a political focus deck or a random deck, there are some people who really like to play like I think it's often mono red, but it's red based randomist decks where you just want wacky nonsense to happen. I think this card is a shoo-in. Obviously, it's not truly random, but it's forcing your opponents to do things they otherwise wouldn't want to do, right? So I think it's interesting in that fashion. Wildfire Devils. Holy shit, those things are those. I'm really hoping that's grass and not trees, because if those are trees, that's awful. Harvest. Okay, so I think that's a field of wheat. I was very scared. Anyway, 4-mana 4/2 Devil. Not liking the 2 toughness. Not liking the 2 toughness one bit. When Wildfire Devil enters the battlefield, and at the beginning of your upkeep. Cool. Choose a player at random. That player exiles an instant or sorcery card from their graveyard. Copy that card. You may cast that copy without paying its mana cost. So, this is very interesting for several different reasons. 1, this is a repeatable effect that you're going to keep getting every turn. 2, it's entirely random. So you could, for example, get an opponent who does not have an instant sorcery in their graveyard, and this effect is just lost. 3, you can get yourself, because it's a player. So it's not going to be like, you're just never going to get yourself, and you're the one playing the cool artifact or instant sorceries. Your opponent over here is playing artifacts. This opponent is playing some sort of like Pillow Fort enchantment deck, and this person is just playing like actual balls to the wall creatures, right? You're sometimes still going to hit yourself, and that is helpful. That player exiles a card. You don't get the choice of which instant sorcery in their graveyard is going to get exiled. They do, which can be a downside. It is a downside, but still. Important to note, though, is that if they only have 1 instant sorcery, you get that one. Also, this is kind of sort of graveyard hate in that you're getting value out of just like every every one of your upkeeps getting some random thing out of your opponent's graveyard. You know, there's a decent amount of spell recursion in certain EDH decks. So I think this effect is really cool. I really like the ability. I like the card overall. I just don't love the 2 toughness. I do believe red creatures, so red and black creatures have very similar stat lines, and Wizards try to differentiate them by having red creatures generally having lower toughness and black creatures generally having lower power. So I think this card's interesting. I just am afraid the fact that it's, you know, 2 toughness. online salty boy. No, I didn't talk about this. I thought I did, but I didn't. This is like Vengeance or Vindictiveness or something. I don't remember. Supreme Demon of Vindictiveness, whatever. 7 mana for a flying 6/6 demon. Alright, sure. Whenever a source controlled by an opponent deals damage to online salty ball, that source's controller loses that much life unless they sacrifice that many permanents. So this is very similar to Phyrexian Obliterator. That is, it is black. It's quad black. It costs quad black. For, I think it's a 5. I mean, I can literally just look it up right now. Phi Oblit. This. Very similar to this. The only difference is they don't get to choose to lose life, and they don't. And Obliterator affects you. So, for example, if you Blasphemous Act when you have a Phyrexian Obliterator out, you have to sack 13 permanents. But if you Blasphemous Act with Online Salty Boy, then okay, you killed your Online Salty Boy because it's specifically a source controlled by an opponent. It's a little unfortunate that they can choose to lose that much life, because no one, unless they're literally going to die from it, no one's gonna choose to sack their permanents. You know, it's a 6 power or 6 toughness card. So it blocks really nicely, it attacks really nicely, and if it gets blocked, it's annoying. The biggest hurdle for this card, in my opinion, is the fact that it's there, you know, it's online, and your opponents can play around it as best they can. And if that means they're only attacking you with like 2/2s and stuff, that's good. But you're also, if you're holding this back to block to disincentivize your opponent from attacking, that means you're not attacking with a flying 6/6. So, don't know. That said, it also has a madness cost of 3 black. And madness modifies when you can cast a spell. So this can come down at instant speed. So with Angie, or Anya, apparently is what her name is, with Anya, you can just wait. Your opponent attacks you with some sort of beefy 5/5 or something. All right, I gotta go and draw a card, or she might be discard first, whatever. Eventually, discard a card, pay 5, demon, block the 5/5, you now have to lose 5 life. Even that, like the perfect example, like, is not great. You could bring it in, like in response to a Blasphemous Act. That's probably the best one. But even then, like you're bringing it in to just make one player lose 13 life. Right? I want to love this card, but I just don't. Yeah, I mean, I just don't love it that much because they get to just choose to pay life, and in a format where life is at 40, it's not hard to pay life for a while. Yeah, I could be underplaying this. I could definitely be incorrect about this card. I just don't think it's great. Chainer, Nightmare Adept, another Chainer in. First thing, I love that they kept him in a similar pose, right? Chainer very often looks like this. 2, the rest of the art is just fucking bomb, dude. Like the ash snakes, the whip. Chainer just looks badass in general. I absolutely love it. 4 mana for 3/2 human minion. Discard a card. There's a free discard outlet. But wait, there's a catch. You may cast a creature card from your graveyard this turn. Okay, so you can discard a card and then cast the creature, but you still have to pay mana for it. Activate this ability only once each turn. Okay, that's unfortunate. You can only do this once each turn. Notably, you can do this on your opponent's turn. You may cast a creature card from your graveyard this turn. I don't think that gets around timing restrictions. You may cast a creature. Yeah, I don't think this gets around timing restrictions. It might, but I'm inclined to say it's not, based on the wording. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if you didn't cast it from your hand, it gains haste until your next turn. So that's cool. So essentially what this is saying is, instead of just playing a card from your hand, you can pick a card that a creature you're going to play from your hand anyway, discard it, and then cast a card from a graveyard. What's interesting, though, is that you can discard this card, pay a madness cost for this creature, and then you would not have cast that from your hand, because you're casting it from exile or the graveyard, wherever it comes from. I don't know exactly when the stuff gets cast. I don't care. I could literally just look at the last tab to find out. I don't care. It comes not from the hand. That's what matters. And then, if you have enough mana, you can cast a second creature from your graveyard, thus giving both of them haste. And I think that's what makes this card really interesting. And I gotta say, I really do love these two commanders for a Madness deck, both Chainer and Anya, because they're both different, but they still work really nicely in their own way with Madness. So I really like it. The fact that Chainer can just choose to discard a card is great, because it could mean... you know, maybe you top deck a land. Like, you're for some reason, you're in a bad position, you know, in black-red. Who's in a bad position? And then you're just like, all right, well, I drew a land. Well, it would be great to get back this card. So I'm going to go ahead and discard this land with Chainer and cast this creature again. So, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things you can do with this. I mean, just generally, a Reanimator deck, right? A black-red Reanimator deck with this card, I think is also quite fine. You know, you have cards that you can cast from your graveyard, things with flashback. You have cards like that have Madness, so you can trigger this and stuff. Maybe you even have other creatures with like Unearth. Well, that doesn't actually work because that already gives them Persist and Undying. So if you have cards with Persist and Undying, then when they die and come back, they get haste. So I think Chainer's very interesting because of how multifaceted the card is. Also, it's very good because Steve Prescott did a fucking fantastic job on this art. Curse of Fool's Wisdom. Discard it into exile when you do. Okay, yeah, so it comes from exile. Curse of Fool's Wisdom is a 6-mana enchant player. It's a curse. I love curses. I'm so glad they're still using it from time to time. Whenever an enchanted player draws a card, they lose 2, and you gain 2. That's mean. As some might say, that's rude. I absolutely love curses. This is going to go... I don't really have a curse deck. I played around with it. It's just... It's like... 4... Well, it's 4 colors. It's white minus. I might revisit curses or something. Oh, no, you'd need white, because I forgot Omnicat had white curse, so it'd be a 5-color curse deck, and I already have 2 5-color decks, and I don't need any more. Anyway. For Madness cost, a 4. That's much better. 6, like, you'd be fine paying 6 for this. The place that I really like this card is when you are playing against someone who... is drawing a lot of cards, or they're very obviously ahead, right? Shut up! If you're in a game in which your opponent, like one opponent is just blatantly ahead of you and the 2 other people you're playing with, you could just be like, okay, well, tapping out for this. You're not drawing a bunch, but it's just going to slowly eke them behind. You're going to garner favor with the 2 other people because you obviously targeted the person who's ahead, and you're just going to gain some life here and there. It's just, you know, it's nothing too much, nothing too consequential. What I will say is you could do a stupid thing with this and put in a deck that forces people to draw cards. And that's funny. This can go really nicely in Windfall-based decks. You know, Nekusar might want this. Obviously, Nekusar it's not great for because it's 6, and I know a lot of Nekusar decks are very tuned. But if you want to play a Nekusar deck that is a little bit more on the meme side than on the mean side, I would definitely suggest Curse of Fool's Wisdom, because you're just like, fucking, all right, everyone draws a bunch of cards, everyone discards a bunch of cards, die. Just die. And it's fun. Obviously, this is only 1 player, it's not universal, and if it were universal, it'd be absolutely insane. But, you know, having this cost is fine, having the Madness cost of 4 is much better, but I think it's balanced. Balanced. Aeon Engine, or Aeon Engine. 5 mana for an artifact, enters tapped. Tap and exile, Aeon Engine, reverse the game's turn order. So in Plane Chase, there is a event, I don't remember what they're called, phenomena. There's a phenomena that just reverses the game order. I don't play with that card because it's not fun. Because functionally what it does is it just skips a player's turn. That functionally that's like what this card does. I fucking hate it. This is so annoying. Okay, so we're in a 4-player game, right? I'm starting, right? Let's say we go around for a while. I have this. I use it. I end my turn. And it goes to this person whose turn it just was. And it goes to this person whose turn it just was. Now, technically, they've taken more turns than me because I've only taken 1 turn. But this person, right, I saw it coming. Like, I knew this was going to happen. But this person, to my other side, they just got fucked for no reason. And then like the rest of the game is play. Like I don't understand the point of this card, and I hate it. I hate it so much. Greven, Predator Captain. I love how many Weatherlight Saga characters have been brought back. Greven looks monstrous, which is good. You can see Volrath back here. I believe that is Korvax. I can't tell if there are any other characters in the background of his art. Gerard had a ton, but it made sense because the Predator flagship was not nice, and the Weatherlight had a lot more fun characters. 5 mana for a 5/5 menace. I mean, already that seems fine to me. Greven gets +1 or +X+O, where X is the amount of life you've lost this turn. Huh? Self-inflicted damage. When it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw cards equal to that creature's power, and you lose life equal to that creature's stomp dice. Now, this is when it attacks. I love that it's a May. Unfortunately, it's another creature. So if you really need to draw some cards, it's very unfortunate that Greven can't sack itself. But because of the fact that this is... he just has a static ability of Greven just has +X until equal to the amount of life lost. It means that on your opponent's turns, if you lose life, Greven will be slightly bigger. And when you attack and sack a thing to draw some cards, your Greven is going to have that boost. Now, if you just sack some 2/2s, right, this becomes a 7/5 with Menace that has drawn you 2 cards and lost you 2 life. But I say this because, as I've said in previous videos, I really like 7-power commanders because those are 3-hit commanders for command damage. I'm a person who really likes commander damage. There's been some talk about shaking it up, which I'd probably be okay with, depending on how they do it, but I think Greven is a really interesting card, and I would love to see Suicide Rakdos. Suicide Black is an archetype that a decent number of people have played, and I think having like a really good, valuable card like this is pretty cool. You know, Greven works really well. You know, you have things like Phyrexian Arena, where you just every turn, this is just a 6/5 period, and you've drawn a card, right? You have those annoying cards that I hate. There's lands that deal you damage. There's some artifacts that deal you damage. I don't think I like either of those because it's super fast mana, and I don't really like super fast mana. Not in my commander games anyway. But yeah, I really like this card. Also, he's horrifying, and that's just so much better. I feel like the image you are seeing is nicer than the image I'm seeing because it's blurry as fuck. Nightmare Making, 5 mana sorcery. Choose one, exile each creature with power greater than the number of cards in your hand, or exile each creature with power less than the number of cards in your hand. This is a fucking black board wipe right here. This is a fantastic card. Because if you have no cards in hand, this exiles everything. Unless they have 0 power. This exiles everything. And the fact that it exiles is the best thing, right? The fact that this is just like, oh yeah, indestructible? No, go away. Oh, you have an Absent? I have this thing where she dies. By dies, I mean she gets exiled. Bye-bye. Just fantastic. And if you have a bunch of cards, you're like, all right, well, I'm the only one with demons on board. I have a bunch of 6/6s. I have 6 cards in hand. All right, I'll wrath the board downward. Sure. And you can really, because you know how many cards are going to be in your hand, you can really manipulate how well this card is going to address the board, how valuable you're going to, how much value you're going to be able to get out of this based on the number of creatures that are left for you versus your opponents. And you can just really fire this off whenever. And I think the thing that I like the most about it is the prospect of being able to just exile everything, right? If you're in such a trash position that you have 1 or 2 cards left in hand, you're going to be able to hit so many things. Obviously, you're not going to be able to hit those utility creatures, but it saves you from dying, right? And I think that's what this board wipe does really well. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I think it's real good. I don't think it's going to go in Gisa because, well, it's like for 3, just exile everything that's bigger than for 3 power. Yeah, I don't know. I might try it. I might try this out in Gisa, but Gisa already has a decent number of board wipes. I'm not sure. In general, I think in general this is a very good card, though. Idol of Oblivion is so confusing, and I actually have pulled up a Reddit tab because I'm going to read what people think. This is MTG Vorthos. This is a thread about what the hell is going on in this picture, because Idol of Oblivion, 2 mana, tap, draw a card, activate this ability only if you created a token this turn. That's cool. You know, I think that's a very interesting way to benefit the token decks that are out there. Because I mean, 2 mana, just tap, draw a card. That's really fucking good. Pay 8, tap and sack. Create a 10/10 Colossal Eldrazi creature token. This thing here doesn't... It looks too human. Like, there's tentacles there, sure. I don't know what this is. I don't know what I'm looking at. Like, the thing is, like, here down... actually, like, this kind of reminds me of Kozilek, because Kozilek had, like, that giant... Like, it's like a normal, like, body thing, and there's a stalk into some smallish tentacles. That maybe looks like the faceplate of Ulamog, but there's very obviously a face there, and then none of them have this fucking, like, pauldron armor. So I am incredibly interested in... Like, this has to be a plant. This has to be a plant. If this is not a plant, I will be sad. I am so intrigued by this card. If this is just a random, oh yeah, she wanted to make this art look like this, I'm going to be upset. Because this is so intriguing to me. I need to know. Arise, Great One, and cleanse the world of our enemies. Like, are there people who've made the Eldrazi? Ugin said, like, the Eldrazi are, like, fucking old and stuff. Like, I want to know what this means. Please. Good card otherwise. Skyfire Phoenix, 4 mana, 3/3 flying haste. Phoenix, makes sense. When you catch your commander, return Skyfire Phoenix from your grave to the battlefield. Fantastic. I absolutely love this reanimation effect. It is keeping in line with the Phoenixes who can come back from the grave. I do like that they didn't put the restriction on here of you have to catch your commander from the command zone. If you just have it in your hand or have it in the grave or something, and you cast it from there, then you still get to have the benefit of this. Love this card. Just nice, well designed. I don't think it's insane in EDH, just because it is only a 3/3, but still a recursive 3/3 that has haste. I think is fine, totally good. Hate Mirage. I love the name of that. Just so you know, Minotaur here with this weapon. Minotaur here with this weapon. They're not Inox in here. They're Kenra. Kenra here with this weapon. Kenra here with this weapon. Sorcery. Choose up to 2 target creatures you don't control. For each of those creatures, create a token that is a copy of those creatures. These tokens gain haste. Exile them at the beginning of the next end step. So if you have something that doubles tokens, those doubled tokens won't get exiled. Otherwise, these are just gone. And it makes me sad. Now, I did say several times, 3 mana for your best token is usually worth it. 4 mana to choose 2 creatures that are the best on the battlefield that aren't yours is worth it for sure. 100%. And this is going straight into Creature Riku. I just don't love the fact that they get exiled because I want my cake and eat it too. No, this card's balanced. As an uncommon, rarity doesn't really mean anything in here. As an uncommon, I think this is totally fine. And it's if nothing else, it's a fun card because it's always fun to murder your opponents with clones of their own cards. Not literally their own cards. Don't. Who needs to take their cards when you can just copy their cards and make them better? There's my Creature Riku deck is infamous to one player in our play group because he has a what is his name? Lord Kanda Iganjo or whatever. The 7 mana indestructible guy, and somehow randomly I constantly play Riku whenever he's playing Kondo. Who cares? And I always end up cloning his creature, and like the point of his deck is that he has a bunch of indestructible things and board wipes. Like that's the point. And if I have a creature that's indestructible, I can just block him all day. So he just like fucks his entire plan, and I love it. What was I saying? I don't know. I've been off topic. They call me Bone Miser, cause whatever I touch turns into dust. I'm too much. This is the card that is on Waste Not. This is the creature that is on Waste Not. 5 mana for a 4/4 zombie wizard. Decent stats. Whenever you discard a creature card, create a 2/2. Whenever you discard a land card, create or add black. Whenever you discard a non-land card, draw a card. So this is the exact same like Waste Not effects, but Waste Not is for your opponents. This is for yourself. So there are several different archetypes where you want to discard your own things. This obviously is really good in a deck like Chainer. But where this really, once again, Where this really is awesome is in those wheel decks, those Wheel of Fortune decks, where you know that you're going to be discarding a lot of cards because you're just going to constantly wheel, right? You're constantly just like, oh, well, I have five cards in hand after my wheel, so I'm going to go discard these 5 cards. I discarded 2 creatures, a land, and 2 non-creatures, non-lands. So I'm going to draw 2 cards. Did I say 2 creatures? I think so. Gain 2 zombies, and make some black. With that black, I'm going to go ahead and cast this other card from my hand that I otherwise wouldn't. I don't know. I think it's cool. It definitely goes into a certain style of deck because it only affects yourself. You're going to be the one discarding, but I really like it. Do I have a Grixis deck? Oh, I do have Bolas. Bolas isn't a Wheels deck, though. I don't really want to turn Bolas into a Wheels deck. Bolas is a Bolas theme deck. Is there another Wheels deck you can... Because, like, black, red, and blue are, like, the wheel deck. I don't know, I'm going to think on it. I might just not, and just see other people play it, because I think that's where this card really goes, and I think it's really where it shines. Those are skulls, by the way. Last card, this I believe, I've gone over all of the cards. Mire in Misery. 2 mana for a sorcery. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or an enchantment. Chef's kiss. So Mark Rosewater has stated at some point recently that black is going to start getting on-color enchant removal. So the fact that both that red wasn't able to deal with enchantments and black wasn't able to deal with enchantments, Wizards noticed that there's something not great. So now what they're doing is they're giving black some enchant removal. I believe that he said it's going to be few and far between, but it's going to be still on theme. And essentially red is going to be able to deal with enchantments, or with artifacts, but not really with enchantments. And then black, not really going to be able to deal with artifacts, but is going to be able to deal with enchantments. So if you have a black-red deck, you actually can be covered now. Because as it is right now, if you have a black-red deck, you essentially cannot deal with enchantments. You can deal with artifacts, because you have the red, but you just could not deal with enchantments, because both black and red didn't have access to it. And I think this is a really good way. This is a fantastic card to start, right? When you think of black removal, you think of the classic Doomblade or Diabolic, yeah, Diabolic Edict. I don't remember why I messed that up. This is a sorcery, which makes sense. If this was an instant speed card, that'd be stupid. But it does give your opponent a choice. Now, that sucks, right? The fact that it gives them a choice. But you're in black. You have a ton of creature removal. You have a ton of mass creature removal. You have plenty of board wipes. Theoretically, you can go ahead and board wipe, and since this only costs 2, you can still cast this and get an enchantment that you want to deal with. Obviously, you're not going to get to deal with the specific enchantment, but not everyone is playing enchantment decks. There might just be one enchantment that is bothering the crap out of you, and you blow it up. I don't know if this is going to be a staple in EDH black decks, but I'm definitely putting it in several of mine, because goddamn, they need some enchantment removal. Cough, cough. Scorpion God. Anyway, this is early. This is over a little earlier than I expected, so we're going to talk really quickly about these tokens. I just love I love this fucking token frame so much. It's just so good. I'm not a big fan of this human because her cheeks scare the crap out of me. It looks like they have eyes that are looking at me. Man, the spirit, one of the best spirit tokens in my opinion. I really like how well framed the assassin is here, right? In the older version of the assassin token, I feel like it was kind of like too far away. And you might be saying, well, it's an assassin, it's supposed to be sneaking in the background. But this, I like this better because, like, in my mind, she's just that close. It's great. In my opinion, not the best. Good zombie, not the best zombie. The best zombie, in my opinion, is very easily the lady from Innistrad, the lady zombie token from Innistrad, which of course I don't have immediately. But shut up. Okay, dragon, but the egg. I want to talk about the egg. It's an egg. It's just a fucking egg, and I love it. Oh god, they look so crisp. The tokens look so fucking crisp, dude. The horror looks fantastic. The sculpture, I mean, that actually scares me now because I realize it's alive. Not the best treasure. Best treasure is always going to be Orzhov coin. Eldrazi. Just all of them. All of them look so good. The horror looks spectacular to me. Even with the old art, I'm pretty sure this gargoyle token art is relatively old, and it still just looks fucking bomb. Snake. It's fun. Oh, it's great. Sorry, I got distracted by looking at this dope art by all these beautiful people. Not my favorite beast art. It makes sense in the thing. The reason it's not my favorite beast is because it doesn't look like a beast to me. It looks like some fucking monster, which makes sense as it is. It's a freaking monster. Oh, man. Yeah, so good. Once again, I'd like to thank Salamander, Croft, Rascal, Zin, and Furry God for their continued support. If you'd like to join them supporting the channel, you find links to that down in the description below. You'll also find a bunch of other important things down in the description. But I do hope you've enjoyed this video. Once again, I will have an additional bonus video talking about the set in general, reprints and whatnot, value, etc., comparing it to previous event or previous decks, whatever. So look forward to that, and look forward to today's video. It's fucking meme nonsense. But yeah, I do hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, go and tap that like button, add a subscription, share a mana pool, cast a comment in the comment section down below, pass the turn, and the video to some of your friends, and of course, until next time, all will be one.